everybody. How's it going? How is life? I hope everybody is hanging in there, having a great day. I am having kind of a crazy day, but that's okay. So I apologize that the stream is a little bit late tonight, but I'm so glad that we are here. We are live. We are gathered together all across the internet, all across the metaverse to spend some time together this afternoon. If I look a little washed out, it's because I'm not feeling my best self, which is not so fun, and I'm on the road. I'm on the road speaking this week. So last night I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, speaking with Students for Life at the University of New Mexico. Right now I am in Los Angeles, California. Not my favorite place on planet Earth, but that is okay. Streaming from a hotel room here in UCLA area and Westwood area, working with some bad hotel Wi-Fi. So if we have a lag in the stream or things cut in and out, that is why. I apologize for that. And I'm just like not feeling great today. I woke up feeling really sick to my stomach. I've been dealing with some not so fun health issues, but that is okay. Luckily, I have gotten a little bit of a second wind this afternoon and wanted to make sure that we streamed tonight since we had the time to do so. So before I head over to the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, to debunk all of the lies about the abortion industry and hopefully make it through my speech without feeling too sick to my stomach, I wanted to make sure that we all got together here, and you guys seem to be very excited and are here across platforms as well. Thank you so much for your patience, for working with our weird scheduling today. I'm actually done with all of my campus speaking events for the rest of the year tomorrow night. So I am back in studio for the rest of the week. Super excited about all of that for the stream. And we're back to like a really consistent normal streaming schedule finally as the school year comes to a close on Monday with all of our normal streaming. Woo woo, exciting stuff, which I know so many of you guys have been waiting for. And everybody is quite excited to get back in the realm of normalcy rather than Isabel being on 8 million planes every day. I certainly am feeling that way, so get to sleep in my own bed starting again next week. Thank goodness. Let's say hi to some people as we get started. And since we have so many new people across platforms, I will just take a second and introduce myself, reintroduce myself, let you know what we have going on the stream. I normally look a lot better than this. I don't look so washed out and or sick and or have these giant bags under my eyes from too many airplanes and sleepless nights and not sleeping well in hotel rooms. Normally we're in a really cute little setup in my spare bedroom in my apartment in Miami, Florida, but right now I am traveling on the road to speak to more members of my generation about several different topics. Tonight about the lies of the abortion industry. Tomorrow I'm speaking to a group of high schoolers and college students just generally about conservative values and traditional values within Gen Z in Thousand Oaks in California. So this is a little bit different than our normal setup, but my name is Isabel Brown, even though I don't look my best self today, and I am an independent content creator. I'm 25, I'll be 26 next month, which makes me feel literally ancient and just truly old. And every single day, do these live streams to give you a Gen Z perspective into everything that is going on in the world, from current events and culture and dating and faith and politics and everything in between. We cover it all on the stream, and it is very, very fun. We've been incredibly fortunate to just see insane growth on my social media across platforms in the last couple of weeks in particular. So if you are new around here, please let us know that you are new by telling us that in the live chat. It is always super, super fun for us to see that somebody is a first-time viewer or just recently started following this community on social media. A ton of you guys have said that as of late, so I'm very glad that you're here. And thank you especially to all of you who have gone out of your way to hit the free subscribe or follow button on any platform that you're currently watching on right now. On YouTube, we hit 10,000 subscribers yesterday, finally, which sounds kind of trivial, I'm sure, compared to most of the creators that you follow on social media. But for me, that's something that I've been working towards for a very long time. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for everybody that has hit the subscribe button on YouTube. On Rumble, we surpassed 1,000 followers last week, which I'm unbelievably grateful for. And our locals community, which is where we do all of our post-stream Q&As, and we want to see you guys there today, has grown like crazy as of late as well. So I'll drop the link to our locals community so that you guys can join us for our Q&A We do those every single day after the stream, exclusively on Locals. And I'm really glad to see that community growing as well. Not to mention, Instagram has just like popped off the charts. I started this year with significantly less than 200,000 followers, and we're at 317,000 followers today. So thank you for all of you who are supporting my independent content, for going out of your way to share my videos, my live streams, to comment in our live chat, to subscribe, to follow. You guys might think that sounds like such a silly thing, but it genuinely makes such a difference in the life of a completely independent creator like me that is not doing any of this content on behalf of a huge media company or corporate broadcasting or anything like that. On that note, that is what we are talking about today. So for our little grassroots stream, which is very fun to do from hotel rooms across the country, I wanted to make sure we had the opportunity to break down the insanely trending story from yesterday of Tucker Carlson leaving Fox News, getting fired from Fox News. We don't really know the whole story. And just corporate media in general being put under a microscope in the United States of America and around the world in the last 24 hours. I'm really glad that I've had the opportunity to sit back and not stream about this within the last 48 hours or so, because I've been traveling, I've been speaking on campuses, I've been on airplanes where like I can't actually live stream about this or post about it on social media, but it's given me an interesting perspective to watch this entire story unfold. So we're gonna share my 2 cents on what's really going on in corporate media, but also just have a general conversation. So make sure you're participating in our live chat over the next hour or so about where we go from here. If corporate media as we know it is dead, which is the case that I am about to present to you, and I hopefully believe that you will agree with me. If corporate media as we know it is dead, where do we go from here? Who do we invest our time, energy, resources, and money in? And where can we go to find things that we trust, that we believe have journalistic integrity, if all of these trusted news sources are not reliable for us to go any more? Before we do that, I want to say hi to some people really quick. Steven is watching on Facebook. A Servant of Humanity is watching on YouTube. Jack's on YouTube. Peggy is on Facebook. Becca, Steve, Kelly, Phil, K-Dog, Racer are all on YouTube. Jason's watching on Facebook and says, you're a newbie here. So glad that you are here, Jason. We've got Takumi watching on YouTube. Jared is watching on YouTube. Bonehead is on YouTube. Todd is watching on Facebook. Masai, Misty, and more are all over on YouTube. Call sign Charlie Mike is watching on Rumble, as is Uncle Pudge, says Isabel in the house from Mississippi. So glad that you are here, Uncle Pudge. Our entire Locals gang is here, which we absolutely love. Alex Padron, Johnny Diamond, African Warlord, JJ Living is watching. My mom is watching. Her handle is Momager in my Locals community, which is so cute. Says she hopes I have security at all of my speeches. I have it tonight, but not tomorrow, I believe. So we'll see how all of that goes. GKU is in our Locals chat. And of course, over in our Getter gang, Craig is watching from West Yorkshire, England, which we love. Love when you watch across the pond, Craig. Gary Upchurch is watching. Estefan is here. FJR Fia Soleil is watching. Ciao to you. Nitty Witty is watching. Christianity Out Loud is watching in Brisbane in Australia. So fun. Okay, and this is what I really want to start with in our chat. Nitty Witty says Fox News did not use the word fired. They said his leaving was mutually agreed upon. Correct. That is the official statement that was put out. Don Lemon, we know, was let go, was fired from CNN yesterday in a weird cosmic coincidental situation where all of a sudden one of the most popular anchors on the CNN channel was let go the same day that the most popular TV anchor ever of all time on any network, but certainly at Fox News, Tucker Carlson, was let go. The president of NBC Universal, the president and CEO of NBC Universal, was also let go over the weekend after accusations emerged of sexual harassment and an inappropriate relationship. And so he also lost his position this last week. I don't think we'll ever know whether or not Tucker Carlson was fired, whether he chose to leave, what the mutual situation was. We know what the official statement is, but truth be told, you don't let go of your most popular anchor who's getting you almost all of your viewership with a zero notice to the talent themselves, to the viewership of the show, to the producers or anything, if there wasn't something bigger at play in those larger conversations happening behind the scenes. I have no idea what position Fox News is taking in how this all came about, what's happening behind the scenes. I am not at all going to pretend to be an expert on how corporate media operates, on what happens behind the scenes with these large corporations and boards and lawsuit settlements, and whether or not you have the budget to keep people, etc. I have no interest in even remotely pretending like I am an expert in corporate news. I go on corporate news quite frequently as a guest almost every single day, and I frequently am asked to be a panelist representing Generation Z on Newsmax, on Fox News, across the board. And I love being a guest on cable television. If you asked me if I watched cable television, the answer would be absolutely not. And I think that answer is reigning true, not just with my generation in America today, but across the board for most Americans, knowing that cable news, a scripted version of understanding what is going on in our system of current events, in our system of politics, in our system of governance, isn't what we're looking for when we are looking for a journalistic breakdown of what's happening in the world anymore. If I want to know what is going on in the world, I am not going to turn on a cable television program on my TV to watch someone read a teleprompter of a script that was written with a specific agenda in mind. I have no interest in doing that, because I can learn the exact same information from somebody on a 15-second TikTok video that's in their pajamas at home that might have their own opinions on the subject, but can deliver the exact same information to me with more authenticity, more relatability, and more interesting commentary than the people who are reading a teleprompter from inside of a multi-million-dollar studio somewhere in New York City or Washington, D.C. or Los Angeles, where I am right now. Alex Padron echoed my thoughts exactly in our locals chat. I can't remember the last time I saw the news on TV. Me neither. And I go on the news 4 to 5 times a week. So that should tell you everything about why my generation isn't looking for cable news as our source of information. We want real. We want authentic. We want something that we can feel personally relatability to, with somebody that might have an opinion, they might have a skew, they might have a perspective lens through which they are looking at any particular current event or breaking news story or political subject or anything else culturally that's happening in our country. They're not pretending to be unbiased, but they're real and they're honest. And as much as I love being a guest on cable television, as much fun as I think that is when my grandma calls me and says, I saw you on TV, it's so cool, it's amazing. Or my parents record every single segment that I'm ever on Fox News or Newsmax, that's really fun, and I enjoy it. But I far prefer getting to sit here with absolutely no makeup after I've been brutally sick to my stomach today with massive bags under my eyes from being on a million airplanes in the last 4 weeks, being completely honest with you about how I feel about the current subjects that are plaguing our nation and shaping our culture and governing over those who govern us. What is on all of our mind? I'm not afraid to say that. And I'm really tired as a consumer watching corporate television where somebody is reading from a teleprompter a script that very clearly has an agenda behind it when we're pretending to be non-biased news deliverers to the world. The truth is, there is no such thing as unbiased news in 2023 America. Really around the world at all. There's no such thing. But I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I don't think that removing bias from how we deliver information is something that we should be afraid of. Instead, I think we should just be honest that every single person ever, of course, has their own perspective and their own opinions and their own way of viewing current events and politics and trending news and cultural subjects, because we're people. We have opinions. We're not robotic. We're not AI, although AI even has opinions, believe it or not. We're people. And the unfiltered commentary that a platform like this, a live stream that I get to do with you guys, completely unfiltered with no teleprompter or notes in front of me at all every single day. I just get to say what's on my mind. Or even a 15-second TikTok video of somebody sitting in the passenger seat of their car or doing their makeup in the morning while they're getting ready for the day feels infinitely more meaningful to me than anything that's been bought and paid for tens of millions of dollars that I'm being read off of a teleprompter for. It means more because it's honest, it's raw, it's authentic, it's real. And I'm not finding that in corporate media whatsoever. I am finding that from the average 20-something who's decided to start live streaming from the spare bedroom of her apartment, making no money really from these live streams whatsoever, not being bought and paid for, but because I believe that I have something to say and they believe that they have something to say that's different, that's going to move the needle and challenge and change culture from the inside out. So long story short, I don't watch corporate television, and the average American isn't watching corporate television. There's a reason that ratings have absolutely plummeted across the board on almost every single cable news channel and network, why shows have had to be shuffled around, why anchors are let go of and budgets have to be reappropriated, because people are disillusioned with the falsity, the over-editing, the grandeur of corporate television. We've lost our illusion with it. We prefer real. And I think it's because in a world where everything is fake and everything is through a screen and everything is edited and everything is scripted, the most countercultural, impactful thing that you can do is dare to be real, to dare to be authentic. What I find so interesting about this Tucker Carlson situation is I don't know if he chose to leave the network. I don't know if it really was mutual, which is what we're being told. I don't know if he was let go from Fox News, but we're talking about the one person, relatively speaking, that the average American was still choosing to tune into national television to watch. Ratings are down everywhere else except for Tucker Carlson tonight, from a cable news perspective. If this was a decision from the business perspective to let this person go for whatever reason, and I'm purely speculative here, I don't pretend to be an expert on this whatsoever or know what was going on behind the scenes at Fox News. Why let go of the one reason your network is still succeeding? Purely from a business perspective, does that make any sense? I didn't study business, I studied biomedical sciences, so it's entirely possible that I just don't understand what is really going on here. But it doesn't seem to pass the smell test for me from a purely business-oriented perspective. Maybe I'm crazy. From a non-business-oriented perspective, not about making money, it stands to reason that Tucker Carlson might want something that isn't so contractually limiting as a cable corporate news setting and contract. When we're talking about media contracts, we're talking about pieces of paper in which you sign your name, image, and likeness away to a company that can tell you what you are and are not allowed to say. I've met Tucker Carlson a few times. He came and spoke to my White House intern group in 2018, and then I've met him a few times since then. Unfortunately, I've never had the opportunity to be on his show, and I never will, obviously, because it's no longer on Fox News, at least the show as we know it. But we're not talking about somebody who likes to play it safe in what he says. We're not analyzing someone who's okay to just read off of the teleprompter with the approved talking points from an ambiguous corporate boardroom somewhere in Midtown in Manhattan. He likes to say it like it is. He likes to say what everyone's thinking, but is often too afraid to say. And cable television is not the venue to allow for that to happen. It's just not. I was recently watching the amazing Dave Rubin's Rubin Report show the other day, where they pulled a clip from 2018 where Tucker Carlson was a guest on Dave Rubin's The Rubin Report, and they were talking about independent media and how Dave put out his own show and he was filming it out of his garage. And again, this was way back several years ago in 2018. And back then even, Tucker was remarking how interesting it was to get to produce your own show, to have complete ownership and jurisdiction over what you say, when you say it, how your content looks, when your content gets put out, etc. Noting that he didn't really have the freedom to do that from a content creator or commentator or journalist perspective in his current situation at Fox News, and how much he wishes he could do something like that 5 years ago. So I don't know if he was let go, if he chose to leave, if it was a mutual direction of the company. Doesn't seem to make a lot of business sense to me, particularly since Fox News happened to lose almost $1 billion in the stock market yesterday. I believe that the total tally was $962 million lost in the stock market. I doubt it was about money and a business decision and keeping the company afloat, just based on the initial 24-hour backlash that we've now seen in market value for the company. But what if we just flip this conversation entirely? What if we take a moment and say, number one, viewers, as we know, don't want to watch cable television. They're not watching cable television. Instead, they're seeking out alternative media through live streams, through YouTube channels, through Rumble, which we're live on right now, through TikTok videos for 15 seconds, or even entire communities like our family over on Locals, which has now been adopted by many, many other creators, Steven Crowder included most recently. So that's number one. People aren't watching corporate news. They're seeking out alternative media. Number two, I think we're moving beyond a time where media companies, both massive corporations like a Fox News or a CNN or an MSNBC, and smaller media companies as well, particularly even in the conservative movement, can get away with owning you and owning your name, image, and likeness, and owning your social media channels, and owning what you get to say, your show, your voice, your commentary. For far too long in the United States of America, talent and commentators and creators have accepted less than ideal contracts in which they literally sign their name, the ownership of their name, away to a company. I think we have to stop. I think it's time to be moving forward. Long gone are the days where the next generation of commentators and content creators are going to continue letting that happen. I myself have made many, many decisions in my career not to take very compelling job opportunities that seemed really, really, really tempting, and likely could have gotten me leaps and bounds ahead in my career of where I am right now, but made the difficult decision to take the slower, harder road with the integrity that I own every single piece of content that I've ever put out, that it is my name with my face and my voice and my words that I am sharing on the internet, not what somebody else is paying for me to do or using my name to accomplish. I'm never okay with the idea of somebody owning my show or owning my name or owning my face, my image and likeness, let alone all of my social media channels. But a lot of people are. And I'm encouraged to see these conversations start to happen in the ecosystem of content creation and media at large, and cable news in particular, of people saying, you know, not again, not anymore. I doubt Tucker Carlson signs with any other media company here on out. Instead, I believe, I hope, based on this interview that he did with Dave Rubin in 2018, that he chooses to share his unfiltered, authentic, honest commentary and opinion and analysis on what is going on in the world as an independent voice, rather than under the umbrella of another giant corporation owning him and his content and his words and his commentary. So number one, people aren't watching corporate media anymore. They're not reading corporate media anymore. They're not engaging with corporate media anymore. Number two, for far too long, we've gotten away with talent signing over their entire freaking life to these companies that do in fact own them. So from a talent, commentator, content creation perspective, I think creators now have to say, enough. We're not doing that anymore. We can provide value to your company without you literally owning who I am and what my name is and what I have to say. Number three, what can we do next? This is the big question that everybody's been asking in the last 24 hours, as Fox News in particular has lost $1 billion in market value in the last 24 hours. What do we do now? If we can't turn on the TV and watch our favorite channel to tell us what's going on in the world, if we can't trust that there is no such thing as an unbiased piece of media or news analysis or breaking commentary, etc., where do we go from there? I think it falls on us as consumers and viewers of content to tell corporate media we're done with this particular deliverance of content. We want real. We want authentic. And we're going to go where authentic and real is, and that's independent commentary and independent content creation. Every single one of you that watch these streams every day, I am overwhelmingly grateful for, and I'm hardly surprised by, because people want a fresh take that they're not seeing on Fox News or CNN or MSNBC that's being paid millions of dollars to say one particular opinion rather than just an honest, authentic opinion. My parents, I think, still, their minds just explode when I tell them that all of these people, thousands of people, are watching me in real time every single day to talk about what's going on in the world. They always think, who has the time to do that, or who wants to do that? And I think they're finally starting to get independent live streaming and all of that a little bit more a couple of months later. Shout out mom and dad, because I know you are watching, and I'm very grateful for their continued support with this. But for a TV generation of Gen X, it's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that you can get the same or better information in a more real, accessible, relatable way through live streaming, through TikTok, through Instagram, etc. Now, with a much easier way of getting that than paying your cable bill and turning on the television at 8 p.m. Eastern every single night. I think it behooves us as viewers, as consumers, to keep going further. Watch more independent content creators. Subscribe to more independent live streaming channels on Rumble, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Getter, here on Locals. Join more Locals communities of people that are delivering real analysis, real commentary, authentic points of view that you're not finding on your television screen. Follow people that are not afraid to sit in front of a TV or in front of a computer in a hotel room with horrible Wi-Fi after being sick all day and giant bags under her eyes, talking about what's going on in the world. Subscribe to people who are willing to put their reputation on the line, or their career on the line, or their following on the line, to deliver to you their honest assessment about what is going on in the world. I'm curious if you guys have any suggestions of who you like to follow outside of me, which is so great that you guys are here, but outside of watching my live streams, who are you listening to that's not owned by a company, any company, a nonprofit, a big media organization, corporate news, or anywhere in between? Many come to mind for me. Dave Rubin, the host of the Rubin Report, who has been independent his entire right-wing career after leaving the Young Turks. Russell Brand has been delivering incredible commentary completely independently from any major media organization. I'm hopeful that Tucker Carlson might start to do the same. But this isn't even a partisan issue. And this is the last thing that I really want to say before getting your thoughts, and keep dropping your suggestions in the live chat. This isn't a partisan issue whatsoever, because as much as people were shocked and amazed that Tucker Carlson lost his position, lost his show with Fox News yesterday, at the same time, as we said at the beginning of the stream, Don Lemon, who I'm not the biggest personal fan of his commentary, we'll just put it that way, but after 17 years at CNN, was let go through his agent, with absolutely no notice, no prior warning, no opportunity to say goodbye. The president of NBC Universal was fired from his company. I think people across the board, not just conservatives or Christians or right-of-center independents, I think people are just hungry for a change of pace. We're hungry for people who don't have multi-million-dollar studios and fancy lapel microphones and wearing dresses that cost $4,000. We're hungry for people whose hair sticks up and is frizzy instead of perfectly helmet head put on in a news studio. We're hungry for people that don't read off of teleprompters every day and instead are willing to just be honest and authentic and themselves across the board. I'm incredibly hopeful for my generation's ability to break us of being spoon-fed a narrative and courageously dare to think for ourselves. Not from watching television, not from reading a newspaper, but by watching independent TikTokers and live streamers and YouTube channels and everyone in between. And there are countless resources out there for you to start doing exactly the same thing. If you are frustrated with the over-edited version of delivering you information, stop watching it. Stop consuming it. Go seek out other commentary, other news deliverance services, other opportunities to get information about what's going on in the world and engage in real community, real conversation. One of the reasons that I love our locals community in particular, and I know so many of you guys have already joined, hundreds of you, which is great, but would love to see more of you over in our locals community, is that it is a real community. We're not even just talking about social media anymore, where I make a video and present it to you, and we put it out into the ecosystem and we just see what happens. We're having back and forth conversation where you guys can post to me and I can post to you, and we interact in live chats. I love live streaming because I get to talk to you guys in real time as I'm processing this information that's going on in the world. I hope and pray that more creators break free from the stifling somebody owns me thing and instead chooses to embrace the freedom, the connection, and the honesty that comes from independent content creation. Lots of other people are doing that as well, so I'm super interested to see who you guys are recommending that people follow. A bunch of people are saying Mark Levin in our YouTube chat. JP Sears says OPC Don. Frostfang7 says, I'm more of a center libertarian, right of center libertarian. Again, not a partisan thing whatsoever. And in fact, I encourage you to go seek out independent content creators who are leftists. Please do. Because otherwise, how are we ever going to know what people who disagree with us think about things? How are we going to know how to change their minds? How are we going to know how to have a real conversation? I think that that's really important, and I really go out of my way to do exactly the same thing as well. OPC Don has another fantastic recommendation in valuetainment. I don't know if you guys know much about Patrick Bet-David, but he is an unbelievably successful entrepreneur, originally from Iran, I believe, who is now also in South Florida, in Miami, Florida. I was just at a live taping of his podcast the other day when Dave Rubin was a guest on there, and that was super, super, super interesting and phenomenal. Mike Golf, I see you in our Rumble chat saying test. I'm glad that it's working for you. I know we've got a bunch of people watching over there. Sometimes the live chat works for people, and sometimes it really, really doesn't. But I'm glad that it is working for you. Uncle Pudge says Russell Brand is a great one, and Steven Crowder, of course. Let's see what our locals chat has to say. You guys might consume information a little bit differently from everybody else. M919, wow, Isabel needs an app, says there's an independent creator named Alfonso Rachel, that has been shadow banned for a long time, but he live streams 3 times a week. He just mentioned you last week, Isabel. He likes what you were saying about Democrats being real racists. So cool. M919, can you actually post that in our locals community? Like, post that as something in our feed, the link to that video, and I want to go watch it, and I'll respond back to him. That's really, really cool. Alex Padron says, I just recently found Bo Diddle. He exposes woke churches. That's super interesting. Magic Def says Mark Levin's podcasts are great, funny, and very educational. How about our Getter community? Nitty Witty says Morgan Zeggers. She's a great friend of mine. Great suggestion, and she is awesome. Let's see what else you guys have had to say. Nitty Witty says, in general, with Getter, Rumble, YouTube, you get to respond to the content creator. You can't do that with cable TV. Nope, it is a one-way communication street on cable television. At least here, we get to build a sense of community, which I really, really love. James says, hopefully Tucker can at least do interviews with Greenwald, Bannon, etc., and that the Hodge twins are really good independent voices, super funny. They're a great suggestion. Graham Allen, a great friend of mine, is completely independent as well, also a great suggestion. But ultimately, before we go into our Q&A over in our locals community, and I will redrop the link to that for all of you guys, after every stream, we are doing an open Q&A for anybody who is a supporter in our locals community. Please, please, please come join us. It is super, super fun. And we also have 2 series that exist only over on locals. One that is released every Tuesday, and I promise it is coming. It's just really late because I've been really sick today and just all over the place in Los Angeles. It's coming tonight, I promise. Tuesdays, we run a series over on locals that's exclusive over there called Outdated, which breaks down the lies of modern dating and relationship culture and replaces them with the truth. And on Thursdays, we have a series that exists exclusively on locals called Domus, where we talk about faith and the church and Catholicism and Protestant Christianity and all kinds of stuff. It is very, very cool and really dives into the big questions about life. So we do our post-stream Q&As and both of those series all over on Locals exclusively, and I hope you guys can join us there in just a few minutes. But ultimately, as I close out this conversation with you guys today, why does all of this matter? Why does it even matter who we follow, what we get our information from, where we are getting our information? What's the point at the end of the day? You might all have different answers, but I think Johnny Diamond in our Locals community said it best. He said, "You are who you pay attention to." In other words, it's often said, you are who you surround yourself with. That your identity is a conglomeration of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I've always found that so interesting, because if you really are honest with yourself, if you're really introspective and willing to ask yourself the hard questions looking in the mirror, who am I surrounding myself with? Is that the type of person I want to be? Am I a reflection of who I'm surrounding myself with? I think the same can be said for what information we're consuming every single day. It's one of the reasons I think we're so depressed and anxious and suicidal in America today, because cable television, which is run by ratings, and what drives ratings? Bad news and fear, which we saw during COVID. So how can we keep people watching our channel and making more money and survive as a business? Give people something to be afraid about. Freak them out. Divide people, make them angry and sad. The same can be said for social media algorithms, which I know we're really fighting on. But at least on social media, we have the opportunity to flood the narrative. An algorithm is primarily driven by trending topics. How do we make something trend? How do we make something normal in society? How do we get into the mainstream of culture, which we know is upstream from politics, so we'll change that later on. We dare to change culture from the inside out. We courageously tell the truth in a society that's rejecting the very concept of objective truth. We go out of our way to counter the narrative that we see on social media, on cable television, in our college classrooms or our high school classrooms, around the family Thanksgiving dinner table. We go out of our way to be different, to get people's attention, to shock them with the truth in a positive, upbeat, and fun way. You are who you surround yourself with, and your beliefs are formed, whether you realize it or not, consciously or subconsciously, by the information that you are consuming every single day. I think it's time, in the wake of this post-Tucker Carlson on Fox News, post-Don Lemon getting fired, post-cable media and corporate journalism and broadcast news era, for every single one of us to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves the hard questions. Who am I listening to? What information am I taking in and processing every single day, every passing minute of every single day? Who do I want to support? Who do I want to give my time, my money, my energy, my resources to? Who do I want to invest in as the next generation of voices, not just journalists, but commentators and content creators, into feeding life and goodness and optimism, but most importantly, truth into the next generation again? If you can't honestly answer that question for yourself today, on Tuesday, April 25th, 2023, I want you to spend the next few days and find out an answer by Friday. That's my challenge to you this week. Literally, I'm not speaking figuratively, go look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, who am I following? Who am I listening to? Who am I subconsciously shaping my values from? It's worth asking. Because the people that we invest in, the people that we watch, the people that we give our time to, let alone money, that's a completely separate conversation, but the people we give our time to are shaping American culture and politics and religion and our values and norms, normal life every single day. We said last week on the stream that I learned through writing a project that's completely unrelated to this live stream that I will tell you about very, very soon. for the first time that the word norm and the word extreme are actually antonyms in the dictionary. If you go to thesaurus.com or whatever, I didn't know this, but the word norm and the word extreme are completely antonyms to one another. They mean the opposite. And I guess I never really thought about it that way. I mean, extreme can seem hyperbolic or really out there or whatever. But I guess if you really do break it down at its very core, extreme and norm are butting heads with one another. They could not be more different. To follow the mainstream, to be normal culturally, to go along with what the crowd is doing, means to not be extreme, not to raise your hand or poke your head out of the crowd or dare to say something different than what the narrative, the norm, the media is telling you to say or believe or do. I've been called an extremist more times in the last 6 weeks than I think ever in my entire young adult life or childhood. And our culture is going out of its way to declare certain people to be extremist, to be a violent, radical, domestic extremist. I think we get shell-shocked when we hear that word. Ooh, I mean, it sounds so offensive, right? To be called an extremist. What a crazy word to be labeling people like Catholics who go to Mass every Sunday or prefer the Latin Mass, or parents who go and testify at school board meetings. These people aren't extremists, but if we're really honest with ourselves, in the same vein as us asking who we are following, today, those people are extremists. If to be an extremist means for me to believe that we shouldn't be chemically and sexually or physically castrating children before they go through puberty and putting a 12-year-old girl through menopause before she finishes puberty because she feels like a boy today, if that makes me an extremist, great, sign me up. If it makes me an extremist to worship God and not government, hell yes. I'm a domestic extremist in America today. If it makes me an extremist to suggest that we should be uplifting independent creators on independent live streams instead of paying out the frickin' wazoo to watch cable television from multi-million-dollar boardrooms telling you a narrative instead of the truth, yes, I'm very comfortable being called an extremist today. Tonight I'm speaking on behalf of the pro-life movement at UCLA. If it makes me an extremist to suggest that we should protect the most vulnerable people among us, babies, preborn babies, when everybody else is trying to kill them, I'm very comfortable being called an extremist. In this vein of media and the information that we consume and what voices we are uplifting, it's never been easier and more moral to embrace independent voices, which sounds like an extreme. It sounds extreme to listen to some chick sitting in a hotel room in Los Angeles, California, no makeup on, talking about what's going on in the world instead of trusting a verified brick and mortar institution of news and of media and of information deliverance. Be extreme. Try it for the next 6 months. Not even, you could do 6 weeks. Turn off your television for 6 weeks. Don't even open it. Instead, tune into a live stream every single day. You can do it here or you can follow other creators. It's my challenge to you. Follow people on Instagram and on Twitter and on TikTok and on YouTube and on Rumble. Go out of your way to find voices not owned by anyone who are willing to deliver the same information with a lot more authenticity. Only by embracing the extreme, which today seems a lot more sane than the norm, do we change the norm in America today. And nothing would make me happier than reaching the same age my parents are today and thinking it's crazy that we would tune into any traditional media institution instead of an independent voice. Because independent voices are who we've grown to trust over the last several decades. That would make me ecstatic because I have a lot more trust for an individual who's willing to put it all out on the line and risk their reputation, their subscribers, their channel, their monetization, their sponsors, than a multi-million-dollar company that just lost billions of dollars in the last 24 hours. Just a thought. I'm very proud to be an independent content creator, in case you didn't tell. But I think a lot more people are starting to wake up to the reality of why independent content creation matters, why it really matters. And I think it's time for us to start paying attention to who we are following, what information we are consuming, and where we go from here as viewers. Okay, we're gonna jump over to our locals community. I've put the link in the chat a few times across platforms. So come join us for our Q&A here for about 15 minutes before I gotta jet back over to another event and chug a bottle of water on the way, which is very exciting. Over on Locals, we're gonna do some Q&A. I'm gonna answer all of your guys' questions. This is for our local supporters, which we do at the end of every single live stream. We are live again tomorrow from the same hotel room in Los Angeles, California, whoop whoop, at our normal time, 3 p.m. Eastern. So thank you, everybody, for rolling with the punches on my crazy schedule today. Before we jump over to Locals, I want to say thank you again so much to all of you who have hit the subscribe button or the follow button or liked one of these live streams or shared the link with anybody else or reposted it on Facebook or Getter. We officially surpassed 10,000 subs on YouTube this week, which I'm just ecstatic and over the moon about. But to the moon, we're not going to stop there. We're going to keep going on the road to 1 million and even more. So if you guys haven't already hit that subscribe or follow button, please do so. It's the era of independent content creation, and we're very grateful for all of your guys' support here on my little corner of the internet. Thank you so much to all of you guys who have commented in our live chat across platforms. Come hang out with us on Locals here shortly, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye. Locals, don't go anywhere. Hang tight.